Hi, it's Ruth Kudzi, founder of Optimus Coach Academy and Ruth Kudzi Coaching Limited. I am passionate about helping people live the lives they want to live on their terms through supporting people to train and develop as coaches and supporting people in my coaching business to build and grow their businesses. I'm really happy today to have the podcast is back. And today we've got Lisa, and Lisa is going to be talking to us about her transition from being an actuary to a coach. She's an Optimus student, and we're really delighted to have her. And she's our very, very first live podcast in that we're videoing it and we're audio. So we're really excited to have you, Lisa. Thanks for coming.
Thank you ever so much for having me.
And can you tell everyone a little bit more about you and your background?
Me and my background. I'm still an actuary. I started off straight from school when I was 18. Wanted to be an actuary. I was one of those mad people who always wanted to be an actuary. So that's where I kind of led. I've been doing it for it's over 30 years now.
Wow.
But during that time, the part I really liked was the interaction with people. I always liked the people side. So as soon as I kind of qualified, I started managing teams. And I started doing the people development, and people kind of realised that I quite enjoyed it and I was quite good at it. And I was given more people, and then some of the more difficult people to kind of deal with. So it's kind of always been that sort of side of it that I've enjoyed. I've done the numbers side, but so I like the people. And it got to a point where I was actually managing a very large team and I wasn't doing any actuarial work, and I loved it. And I loved doing that side of it. But at the time, I wasn't quite ready. I was kind of late 30s, and I wasn't quite ready to kind of let go of being an actuary. It couldn't make that split. I even trained at that time, did the first year to be a therapist. So I loved all that people side and understanding the people. So I went back into probably more traditional role for an actuary. So it's very much number crunching within the insurance companies. And then I started picking up people again. So I went in with no responsibilities for people, ended up with a team of 6. And so, I gradually kind of did the people side of it, and I got more and more into the people side of it. But I was changing jobs quite a lot. Okay. And I think there was something that was missing, and I couldn't quite. And I changed the job, and it was just like, and it still didn't satisfy me. Didn't understand why. And then I changed job, and I actually found a job that was 50% in the contract, people management, developing a new team, and 50% technical. I thought this was the dream job, and it totally fell apart. It didn't work, and that really threw me. And that's when I almost kind of burnt out, almost had the breakdown. Managed to just about stop myself doing it, but I had to leave the job to do it. Okay. So at that point, I had 9 months off, and I said, right, I'm really going to think about what I do. The next job's going to be the one. And it was just before lockdown, so this happened, and it really wasn't. I kind of went into this role that I thought was going to be really good for me, and I still had something missing, and I couldn't understand why. And at that point, the company were really good. They offered support, and one of them was coaches that you can go and see. So on a Wednesday, you could book in to see a coach, and you could talk to them. And I'd had one kind of chat with them, and it was kind of in that a second chat that I had with them that they introduced me to values, and they gave me a values exercise. And we had a chat during it, and we had a really good, nice hour just spending talking about me, and they should go away and do this. And I did the values chat kind of thing, and it was just all people focused. It was helping people. It was working with people. It was needing to be valued. It was everything that my job wasn't.
So what happened then when you've been in this career for 30 years, and I'm sure that people will resonate with this, that you kept thinking that it was a job, so it will be the next job. So you're seeking the perfect job because you've got that identity as an actuary. And I want to just let people know, because I'm sure there's people listening that are like, what is an actuary? So a little bit, you've mentioned it's about numbers, but what does an actuary do?
An actuary is the person in the insurance number who does all kind of number crunching. So it will be calculating premiums is probably the easiest way of doing it. So, but to calculate a premium, if you're doing a life insurance, so you've got to take into account the chance of the person dying, kind of all the costs of the insurance. You've got to take into account investment returns, because the money that people pay the insurance companies will be invested.
Yes.
So you end up with some very complex models, which is...
I can imagine. It's going way over my head.
And that's probably the simple side of it. So it does tend to... it tends to attract kind of mathematical people, quite complex areas. So it is quite a detailed job. But you probably find underneath most of your insurance companies, if not all, they have actuaries working for them.
And what's interesting with that is you said it's a complex job, it's a mathematical job. It's quite a high status job as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I think within the insurance companies, I mean, some people I talked to, I spoke to an insurance broker recently, and she was just scared of the actuaries. Because you have a lot of power. You can say whether you're going to actually insure someone or not, because you use your maths to say, is it actually worth us insuring that person? So they do carry a lot of power in the company.
Gosh, that's made me... We're just getting life insurance for something, and that's made me go a bit... I'll be fine. But so you came from... You were in that high prestige role, been doing it for 30 years, thinking, okay, it's a job, it's a job, it's a job. And then you had that exercise and that experience where you looked at your values and you realised, this isn't right for me. So how did that feel?
In some ways it felt quite sad, because obviously it's something, my father was an actuary, so that was the reason why I went into it from the beginning.
Oh wow, so there's even more there, there's even more story.
There was even more story to it, and there's a lot kind of in the family that I'm the one who kind of carried on the tradition and things.
Okay.
So there was a lot of pressure in there to make a kind of success of being an actuary. So in some ways it felt very sad, but my father passed over 20 years ago, and I just felt he would want me to be happy. He was one of those people. He was always very smiley. He was always very, very kind of, we want you to be happy with whatever you do.
Sounds a bit like someone else I know.
Very proud of me doing the actuary, and I think secretly thinking,
yeah.
But so there was that kind of in the background, but also I hadn't been happy for a while, and when this job went completely wrong, my husband just told me, go resign now. I'm a very supportive family, because I was so stressed. So to suddenly realise, it was actually talking to a mentor, and he said to me, you've fallen out of love with being an actuary. And it just slotted into place. And from that moment, it was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I need to find something else. And coaching wasn't something that I jumped at because I couldn't be an actuary. It was something that I think, had in the background because of that training to be a therapist. So a lot of the skills that we're learning now, I've kind of seen in the course before. It was 14, 15 years ago when I did it, but they're still the same sort of things that you're doing, the listening, giving people space, the confidentiality, it's all in there. So coaching kind of, when I started looking at things, kind of fitted in. I didn't want to go down the therapist route because I didn't think I could cope with the trauma side of it. I didn't think I would have the strength to do that. So I thought the coaching, there is a boundary there. We obviously do deal with some quite deep issues, but there is a boundary there where you refer on. So it felt safer to me, but it was using all the skills. So it satisfied all of those things. So it just made total sense. And then as soon as I made the decision, because I'm one of these people who kind of, I either take forever to make a decision, and I never really get there, or I do it straight away. And this was just a straight away. It felt comfortable. It felt right. And then the next thing I need to do, being an actuary, you go through exams and you get qualified, and there's this kind of a status thing of being qualified. I mean, it took me a while to do it. I'd say it took me 10 years to go through the exams of studying. So
they're really hard. They're
hard. They're slower than most, but that's 6 years is not unusual. 10 years. So it's a lot there. So I knew I had to have some sort of accreditation, because I know if I was looking for a professional, I'd want accreditation. So I started looking around for how to get the accreditation, how you do it. And I was listening to kind of some of the more enthusiastic ways of doing it, the ones where, oh yeah, you can get the 6-figure salary and you can do it in 3 months and all of this. And I thought, oh, that's easy, I can do it. And then I looked into it a bit more and realised it's much more to it.
I love the fact that you say it's enthusiastic, because sometimes that enthusiasm is like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. I always say a lot of them were American, but that's, So is that really kind of high level sales thing, that you're really into it, you do the kind of the trial sessions and they're just in it to get the money out of you at the end. And I don't like that. I've never liked it in anything I do.
But that's because you're about people.
Yeah.
Like, you've shared that with us so many times. So it's very difficult when you're about people, when you feel that people don't value you. Yeah.
So it's, even now, in kind of some of the work I do, it's just some of the networking. So I don't want to get involved in it because it is too much of that.
And it works for some people. It does work for some people, but not for you.
Yeah, it doesn't kind of fit with me and my kind of ethos. So I started looking around for how to do it, and what I needed to do to kind of get qualified, and how many training hours, and kind of the mentorship and everything like that. And being kind of the control freak I am, the idea of having it all in one place really appeals. So it's one of those things, there was some course I was looking at where you kind of did it over so many months and you had to book into courses, and it was a lot of work to actually get there. Then you had to get your own mentor. You had to kind of get so you get your own mentor, you're having to get your own kind of practice clients, all of that.
Yeah, so it's like another. It's like you book onto the course, and then you're responsible for finding your mentor. Is that external to the course? Yeah. Finding your clients, actually booking into the sessions.
Yes. Yeah, even kind of booking out. I know I kind of got it down to kind of 3 companies that I like the feel of, and even just kind of the fact that you were booking into sessions, but you didn't know who was going to be on those. You may meet people, but you would never really bond because you weren't seeing them every week, month, or whatever. It wasn't the same cohort each time.
There's something so special about being in a cohort, isn't there? Because you build relationships, you get to know people. Because you're on the Wednesday evening cohort. Yeah. And I love your cohort. But that relationships that you can see, it's so deep, and you know that people have got each other's back, and also you know that you're going to have those friendships outside, don't you?
It is lovely to be able to kind of build those, and even just in the coaching sessions, just be able to kind of talk through how we're feeling, and with people who understand, because I can talk about it at home and things, but don't really understand. Even my friends don't quite understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, you don't. It's like you've opened a brand new door, and obviously they still love you and all that, but they don't know what it's about, do they?
No, a lot of my friends are kind of actuaries and accountants, so it's way off what they would do in their kind of day lives. Yeah. So it is quite hard for them to kind of gauge.
So luckily you found us. Yes. It was all in one place. You knew that you got your cohort. You chose your Wednesday night, and you started your business. Was it in the first week of starting that you started your business?
Pretty much. I think it went on to Company's House in mid-November.
Yeah.
So I think I'd sat down just before, because it was for this is probably the lesson that I've learned, which was, I don't know if it was naive, but I think I needed to do at the time, was I was like, I'll start the business now. And what the aim was I was going to work through until June this year.
As an actuary?
As an actuary.
Okay.
Originally that's what I was going to do, and I thought I can do it all. Then realised how much work was involved in it, and I was getting so frustrated at work. I was, it's like coming home, because I was working from home.
But you'd fallen out of love with it. Yeah. So you were in a relationship that you knew you were going to end. Yeah. And that never works out, does it?
Couldn't do it. Couldn't keep it going, because the idea of not resigning until probably about now. So I resigned just before the course started.
Yeah.
To finish work in December. So my aim was to have the company all set up and try and get the kind of the infrastructure around it, things like the website and everything kind of set up before I left.
And how did you get on? So Company's House was in November.
Yeah, Company's House. So all the kind of the company was set up. Registered with the tax office, got the accountant. So my
You
business
can tell
side,
you can tell that she's from a finance background. I've got Company's House. I've got an account.
Yeah.
I have had people before on the podcast that I've worked with who are like, yeah, and then I realised I had to do accounts, so I got an accountant like a week before they were due. So you definitely have got that good business grounding.
Yeah. So that helped, and it so I kind of got all that set up, and then I realised, I'm not a creative. Well, I'm a creative person, but I'm not great at it. So I realised that I needed some help on the creative side. I did things like I booked myself in the middle of December into a local business event.
Yes.
Just to kind of go and get my name out there. And then that was like, I need something to take with me. I need my business cards and leaflets.
Yeah.
So I quite quickly realised that once I kind of started using some tools and things, I could use the tools and I can teach myself software quite happily. But I think that would have been one of those things I would never made the decision. I would have done one thing, then the next and the next, because it's not my comfort zone.
Yes.
So then I went to see a local company who have created my kind of brand for me. They did the leaflets, they've done the business cards, they've done all of that for me. And kind of since I've left work, they're building the website at the moment. Hopefully going to go live in the next week or so. They've helped me with all the kind of LinkedIn branding and with all of that. So
I can feel the relief in your voice when you say that. So website not quite there, but you've got the brand identity, you've got the leaflets, you've got the business cards, and you've also got your first clients, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah, I was very fortunate with. I think I realised that very early on where I wanted to initially niche with or concentrate on, and I've kind of taken on board all kind of the advice. It may not be my final place,
yes,
but it's where I want to start. And I suppose it is that because I went through a lot of pain in the last few years, I want to help people within my industry.
Yeah.
So I want to help people who are not quite sure where they're going with their careers. People who, and there's a lot of people in the actual kind of go with the flow because you're so busy. And it may, and there's lots of other industries where you're just like, I'm so busy, I can't think about my career. So I want to be able to kind of help them kind of put some direction into their career. And it may be they've fallen out of love with their career, or they just need to re-find their love in their career.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'd like to concentrate on, and also kind of the work-life balance side of it. Because I wasn't very good at it, and I've got an awful lot better. And
but the great thing about coaching is sometimes the things that we might not be as good at, we've got so much experience, but also when we're coaching, it's not about us, is it? So
no, so it's kind of, and I think because of that and the kind of the conversations I had before I left the company, and there was a lovely lady who contacted, I left all my details, and totally out of surprise, she contacted me and said, I was thinking of a coach. If I'm going to have a coach, I want to have one who knows how I feel.
Yeah.
So that was kind of one client, and then another one that was, again, we have, she's not actually an actress, she's kind of out of that field, but again, I had regular contact with her, and she's just like, I need some help. And so kind of taking that on board. And then there's a couple more that I've kind of got unpaying from that as well, that I've said to them, if you want some help. And that helps me kind of develop and see whether that is the kind of the niche that I want to do.
And building up your reputation. And what I love is that, you've completely shifted your career. Well, actually you haven't, because you're working with people anyway, doing a lot of that. So you're taking those skills into your new role, but you're also taking your previous experience. So lots of people think, for you, like I've had a 30-year career, I need to close the door on being an actuary, and now I'm a coach. And you're like, actually, I can be a coach for actuaries, and you're already doing that. Is there anyone else doing that?
I must say, I think there is kind of one or two others within the country that I've kind of seen, but it's not a huge amount. And I think it's a group that probably need encouraging to think about their own lives and actually think what impact it's having on it. But so it's a relatively kind of unique position to kind of be in.
And what's your business called?
It's Lisa Dawn Coaching.
Okay.
So so I kind of made, I think that was one of my kind of name, one of those things that took me ages. Like most people do.
Names can take you years.
And then once I made it, it was just like, phew. It was like huge weight. So
Yes.
what I would say to people is just like, don't stress about it too much, because I think, I know, particularly in my cohort, there's a lot of people kind of stressing on names, and I do wonder whether it is that important in the end, because people are buying you.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, what we did for the training business for Optimus, originally we just set up a brand called Kudzi Coaching and Training, and the first time that I sold the training, we didn't even have like a name for the business. Like that was just a name for the business, and it was just called the Coach Training. That was it. And then we're like, oh, okay, let's call it Kudzi Coach Academy. And then and then my husband said, actually, let's call it Optimus. Sounds a lot better. The business grew. Optimus means best. I'm trying to look for him. From Latin. He studied Latin at university, so he brought that on. And yeah, I think your name can change as well. I think it's scary at the beginning, isn't it? Because so many times you think this has to be fixed. You know, I've got these business cards, but actually that can change as well. It doesn't. You know, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so nothing's forever, is it? So we can always change things. So made the decision. Training, nearly finished your training. How has training been compared to what you thought it would be?
I'm very pleased I gave up work, because I don't think I could have kept going. And that's not because the you could work, a lot of people are doing full-time jobs and doing that. But I think it's the mindset and thinking about it in between, particularly with some of the topics, having time to actually kind of absorb them. And I'm not a great reader of books, but at least having some time to read books, I listen to podcasts, and having that kind of additional to try and embed it, and having plenty of time to practice.
Yeah.
I think I'm nearly up to my 50 hours now for the course, hoping to get the 100 quite quickly. So, and I wouldn't have had all that time to practice. And I think it is such a practice subject.
It is a practice subject. But also, you've decided that this is you now as well, haven't you? So I guess that's part of the going all in. Yeah. So when you graduate, which will be, this podcast is going to come out it's probably going to be about a month after this podcast comes out. So we'll all have to remember to celebrate Lisa graduating on social media. When you've graduated, what's next for you?
It's really then I want to be able to get the accreditation as soon as possible, because it just feels that I've got more weight then to go. I mean, I am going out to some, I'm kind of presence on LinkedIn. I'm trying to build up my presence there. I'm talking to whoever I can about getting more clients, but I just feel as though I'm going to have that little bit more weight with that qualification there.
Yes.
I'll be able to kind of be on different directories. It will just have a different feel to it, and I think there's a couple of companies that I'm speaking to, but they're quite small and they know me. So they know me as an actuary. Therefore, the accreditation I don't think needs to be there as much. But there's some companies out there that I want to talk to that don't know. Well, they know of me, but they don't know me personally. So I want to be able to kind of, and I think saying that I'm accredited there just shows
it's going to be like sometimes it's waiting to approach those kind of bigger companies when you've got like now. Not only like I'm Lisa, you know me. I used to be an actuary. I'm accredited. This is what I can offer. This is some of my client results, and then that's going to be a much stronger selling, isn't it?
Yeah. So and I think it would boost my confidence in going to them.
Yeah.
I say I'm quite happy to talk to people. It's still kind of outside my comfort zone. Everything I'm doing at the moment is outside my comfort zone, and it's quite nice and quite exciting in some ways, because I've been in my comfort zone for so long. To kind of do things like this, networking events, I've always hated, but I'm beginning to quite enjoy them.
You have to give me some tips on that, because I am famous for really not liking networking events, and I've managed to avoid them. So if you're starting to like them, I think that could be another episode, convincing Ruth to like networking events.
I think those things do help, because we're all in that kind of sheltered zone at the moment of still not quite being in the offices and things. So it kind of gets you out, and that's what I think I've realised as a coach. It's quite isolated.
Yes.
And it's lovely. I described this to someone. You talk to an awful lot of people, but you talk to no one.
Yeah, and I guess that's why it's lovely to have your cohort as well, because they're going to continue to be your cheerleaders.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of relationship, particularly with kind of the main peer partner I have, has been fantastic, because sometimes we'll just go on and we'll chat and we'll just go about the feelings about how we're feeling about the subject matter and the course. It's really, and then I've connected with a couple of others now as well, because my close people don't know about coaching, to be able to actually talk about it, and it's been a godsend on that one.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's like you're stepping into a new world for lots of people, and having people around you that get that just makes a massive difference. Yeah, my friends, I mean, I would say the majority have no idea about what I do. And that's cool, because, you know, we don't often sit there and talk about work anyway, do we?
No, really.
Much more interesting things to talk about. So, where can people find out a bit more about you, Lisa? If they've been listening to this and they're like, oh, I'm interested to find out a bit more about Lisa, where can they find you?
Well, my website is lisadawncoaching.co.uk.
Brilliant.
I'm also on LinkedIn, so
Yes.
I'm under Lisa Staker or Lisa Dawn Coaching. You can find me under either.
And Staker is Staker.
That's right, yes.
All of this will be in the show notes as well.
Brilliant. So yeah, I mean, the best place is LinkedIn at the moment, to kind of message me on there, and then we can just arrange a little chat to see whether people are interested in working with me. Yeah, I'd love to talk to anyone out there who, if you just want to know more about how I've done it, I'll be happy to talk to anyone.
Oh, I love that, Lisa. So if you were going back to Lisa, who made the decision last summer to train for a coach, what would you say to her?
It's the best thing you've ever done. You should have done it years ago.
But we know that we don't have shoulds in coaching.
No.
You did it at the right time.
Yeah, no.
I love that. The best thing that you've ever done. Lisa, It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Remember, if you're thinking about training as a coach, come and check us out. Our next cohort is in May. You've got all of the links below in the show notes, so you can come and find out a little bit more about how it can help you. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd like you to like and subscribe. And remember to keep abreast of all of our new videos. Just ring that bell and you'll be notified when any new ones come out. And we'd love to hear feedback from you. So if you'd like to post beneath your biggest takeaway, and equally anything that you'd like to hear me talk about, we're always open to feedback.